Alright, welcome guys. This is 3D Comic Creator. My name is John. Today we're going to be talking about the Daz Studio Geometry Editor and how I use it with regards to comics and my characters. So the primary Daz Studio tools are pretty safe. You can't do a lot of destructive damage to your scene, but I'm going to give you a fair warning. Geometry Editor can screw up everything, so you got to be careful. What I'm going to do here is adjust this character, this file, so that it's perfect for exporting onto Blender. And then if I want to work with him in Daz, I'm going to use an earlier file, which is what I suggest when you're going to start using Geometry Editor. Make sure you got a backup. So let's walk through my use case. I've been in the process of exporting all my characters from Daz out to Blender. Then I re-rig those characters with the Auto Rig Pro Blender add-on, which I'm not going to show here, but I'm just telling you the deal. So let's just check that out in Blender. Here he is. This is what I would get when I export using the MC Teleblender plugin for Daz. So it just kicks out really quick, gives me this. And what I'm going to show you, let's look at my surfaces over here. In Blender, these are called materials. So normally what I would do, I would combine all these surfaces because I just really don't need 20 or 30 surfaces. And Daz helpfully appends a number to the front. So these ones are all the same UV map. These twos all using the same UV map. So let's just try to get into local mode here by pressing my / key. There we go. What I'm going to do is combine some of these, just show you what I would do. Let's tab in edit mode, double tap A. And I'm going to combine the nostril with the face here. So the lip I'll leave alone because I want that separate. Let me select that. I'm going to press the numpad period, zoom up on that Z wireframe so you can see what we got selected there. Let's back out a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do, click on the face, assign that, double tap A. Now I select the face. I got everything here. If I hide that, you can see that was all gone, that face part. Because now it's assigned to the face. Let's bring that back. I'm going to do the same thing. Let me turn back to solid here. With these twos. So I don't need 5 of these. I'm going to take all these and assign them to just one. Alright, so let's select that. Select the head, hip, and the neck. I'm going to press numpad period. Then I'm going to assign. Double tap A will get me out. Let's select that. So that's all on the one surface here. And I'll do the same thing with the arms and legs. I'm going to keep my fingernails and my toenails because I might want to do those separately. But everything else I'm going to put onto this skin arm. So let's select the foot. And select the forearm. Alright, let's get the hands and the legs. Okay, now I'm going to put it on the arm. Assign. Let's deselect. Now if I select this one, that's everything. So now I could even rename this one. And then what I do is I tab back out into object mode and I delete these that I don't need anymore. Since I can't delete them in edit mode, I have to go out to object. So then let's get rid of these. Add. I think I can even get rid of that. I need torso. And there, that's pretty much what I would do. Let's get back into my regular mode here. So that went pretty quick. And then if I wanted to work with this jacket, let's say I want to make the sleeves a separate color. Well, I can't really do that because I've only got the one surface here. So if I select that, that gets me everything. So what I'd have to do, let me just zoom up on these. I'm going to use my face select mode. Let's go here. Let's get this. I select that whole loop. Let's hide it. Then I'll go over here and get a similar loop. Going the other way. There we go. Let's hide that. I'll press the L key here. Like that. Like that. Now I'm going to bring them all back. I'll make a new slot here. Assign it a new material, and I'll assign those. So that's pretty quick. Now I've got separate sleeves. So my problem comes from when I'm weight painting, when I'm rigging. I'm not that great at that yet. I tend to make mistakes. And I'd like to just start over sometimes. And I found that I can screw things up in Blender to the point where I can't really trust it. I'd like to really just re-export this dude out from Daz. And that's fine. It comes out fairly quick. But then I have to redo all this stuff. Even though it went very quick, it gets annoying to have to do it 5 times, 10 times over. So instead, I'm going to do all that stuff we just did in Blender in Daz with the geometry editor. Let's get out of here. Let's get back here over to Daz. So what we're going to do now is set this up for editing here. Normally in Blender I would tab into edit mode to edit. In Daz I'm just going to choose this geometry editor. Up here it's this pencil that's on top of some mesh. If you don't see that, you can go to Tools and go down to Geometry Editor. Okay, so then the key to this tool is that you want to have your character selected in the Scene tab, and then you got to have this Tool Settings tab open. And if you don't see this, you got to go to Window, Panes, and then go over to Tool Settings and get this open. Okay, so now we're going to do some editing here. And in my experience, I tend to do better when I use a different mode here. I'm going to use Wire Shaded. There we go. So it's only using colors, if not using any of my maps, that are going to get in the way. And what I'm going to do is zoom up on my face camera, just so we can see what's going on. All right, over here, in the top of the geometry editor, we've got 3 icons here. This one is my polygon selection, which in Blender would be my face selection. So if I select here, you can see that it's choosing the faces. I'm going to turn off the symmetry for now. If I choose the second one, it's going to be my edges, and you can see it's only selecting edges. Over here is my vertex selection, so it's only selecting vertices. That's kind of a weird selection that I don't like, but I think you can see better if you, in wireframe, yeah, you can see the points there. But anyway, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to go back to where I shaded. I prefer to use faces. And just moving down, we'll get back to the symmetry later. This highlight color has to do with our groups down here. If I select one of these, you can see this color is now highlighted in red. It's telling me you've got the face group selected. And I'm going to clear this selection that I had over here by doing a right click, geometry selection, clear selection. Okay, so underneath this highlight, we got these target groups. What that does, it works with this button down here. So I can choose face, surfaces, regions, and I can tell whatever I have selected to go into one of these. Now, if I was to select something and hit assign to target group, it would go into the face groups and it would go into the tongue where I don't want it to go, so I'm not going to do that. Let's clear that again. Now, one thing about these groups, you will screw something up once you start moving these faces around, especially if you're doing it on a model, on a Genesis 2, whatever. If you have a dumb prop, it's not really that big of a deal. But I will tell you, face groups, regions, and such, once you start moving these around and assigning them to different groups, then some of your morphs are not going to work. Some of your poses are not going to work because they're expecting those faces to be in particular groups. Now, working with surfaces, when you open this up, you see the same thing that you see over here in the surfaces pane. These will not screw up your poses or your morphs, but it will screw up your one-click texture applications. Like if you have a new skin for a character and you start deleting these moving faces around and such, that's going to screw that up. But at this point, you should be ready with this character to the point where he's pretty much finished. Or whatever you're doing, it should be pretty much finished, and you have a decent backup. Just always remember that, have a decent backup. Okay, so then what we're going to do here, let me back all the way out. And I think I just want to see the body here. What I'm going to do is try to turn off some of this other stuff. I think I can do that in parameters. Yeah, I have a tag here or a filter just for visibility. I'll turn those off. All right, so that looks good. Now I'm going to go back to my tool settings, and I gotta click him again. Make sure he's selected in the scene. Tool settings. All right. So then, if we look at these top surfaces, I got the lip, nostril, skin face. Remember, lip I'm going to leave alone. And it's actually, these buttons help you select. So for the nostril, I'm just going to click this plus button. And it's then going to select all of those. See, this is gray now, and it's telling me all I can do is deselect, add or subtract. And if I hit the frame button, it's going right up on those particular surfaces, on those faces. So that's what's selected. I'm going to choose the face, which is where I want to be. I want to assign those to. Now I'm going to right click and assign selected faces to group. So over here, this went down, this count went down, this count went up because they all got added here. Now I can actually get rid of this because there's nothing assigned there. Let's remove it. All right, so that's out of there. Let's do the same thing with the number 2s here. But first, you see how these are both grayed out? That's because only part of this surface group is selected. So I'm going to go ahead and just subtract that. All right, now nothing is selected. But what I'm going to do, get this one, get the skin head. Let's get the hip and the neck. You see how those are all grayed out? I've got all those selected now. I'm going to right click and assign selected faces to group. Okay, so now those are all 0. They're all gone. And I'm going to delete those. Okay, the same thing with the number 3s, with the limbs. So I'm going to assign everything to this arm. Let's go ahead and just select all these. Actually, I got to get rid of these. Those are selected. So now they're not. Now you can see that that's lit up. All right, so that one's good. I'm going to select the forearm, the hand, the leg. The toenail and the fingernail, I'm going to leave alone. Let's do a right click here to assign those to the group. All right, so let's deselect on that. I'm going to get rid of these. And then I can rename this just like I did in Blender. And so, last thing I'm going to show you here is the eyes. The eyes I tend to deal with in comics different than I do if you're going to do something realistic. As you see here, they've got cornea, iris, pupil. I really don't need all that for a comic. I just need a mesh, a solid mesh that I can apply a UV to. And these all kind of get in the way. So what I've determined is that I just need to use the cornea. What I'm going to do now is just select this. I'm going to select all these. I'll leave the lacrimal, pupil, sclera. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since I got those selected, I'm going to right click over here, geometry selection, and then I'm going to invert that selection. Okay, then here, right click again, visibility, and I'm going to say hide selected polygons. All right, so now you can see I just got these hideous eyes in the way here. So what I'm going to do is take the cornea and select those. So those lit up over here. Then I'm going to put those on the sclera. And let's just right click, assign those. Okay, now this cornea one I can get rid of, remove, select the group, and I'm going to actually hide these. I'm going to click this eye, get rid of them. Okay, so the iris and the pupil, I don't even need these faces. So I'm going to delete this geometry. So I select those, and then I'm going to select the pupil. So these are all selected, and I'm going to right click geometry editing, and I'm going to tell it to delete selected polygons. Now once I do this, that's going to destroy this character's ability to, I believe, pose the face. So that's going to render this character kind of unusable in Daz. But that's fine, because this particular file is only for me to spit out into Blender. That's it. If I need to work in Daz, I'll revert to an earlier file. So I'm going to delete these, and it's warning me, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. So it'll probably chug for a little bit. And you see it even went and took care of getting rid of that stuff for me. I'm going to double click this one here. Change it to eyes. Except spell it right. Okay, so then let's right click visibility. Let's show all polygons. We got everything here. Okay, so that's looking good. That's pretty much all I needed to do there. If I were to go to, let's click back on him, parameters. So you can see in my surfaces, this reflects all the changes that I just made. And I do want to work on the jacket. So let's see if I can bring all this stuff back correctly. All right, let's zoom out. Okay, so everything's back. Now this jacket, I can't quite see. I'm going to deal with the color on this. Let's change that to white. Then the specular, I'll change to black. All right, that's good enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have to make a new surface, just like I did in Blender. So I'll just select a couple here, just so I can frame up on this. What I'm going to do in my tool settings, I'm going to turn that symmetry back on. So now, when I select the opposite faces across whatever axis I have here, I'm choosing X. So this way across the axis are going to be selected. For now, I'm going to just deselect all these, clear selection. What I want is to get this loop. And I'm going to click once, then I'll control click to get the second one. Then I'm going to right click, geometry selection. I'll go down here to select loop. So it's going to go all the way around. You have to select kind of two of them to give it an idea of where you want it to go. Like if I did the same thing this way, and then I went to select the loop, it's going to go that way. So that's why I did this. Let's get that back. And let's select loop. So then, here in my surfaces, actually let's frame this. You can see that I've got both of these. Since I had symmetry on it, so like this one, it went and took care of that for me over there. All right. Let's create surface. Actually, let's cancel that. Create surface from selected. Now it's going to automatically put those faces where I need them to go into this new set. So I've got 92 faces there. So that's good. And then what I'm going to do is also hide these. And now let's back out. So I've still got symmetry on. I'm going to just select some random faces here. Then I'm going to right click, selection, select connected. So it's going to get everything that it can get to, except that I hid those other faces. So it's no longer connected to the body. It can't get to this part. So now I can just go ahead, right click, assign selected faces to group. And now I have got my arm surface. And I can then, let's go back to my texture shaded. Okay, so let's just put something in there. Okay, and this one. All right, so that clearly worked. Now, if I were to just go ahead and kick this guy back out to Blender using Teleblender, and I kind of go over some of those settings in one of my previous freestyle videos, if you need to know about that. Anyway, so here he is. Let's zoom up on him. And we can see over here, I'm going to select just the body first. Here's my surfaces. And sure enough, I've got the exact same surfaces. All that stuff worked. And if I click on the jacket, I've got arms, jacket. So that all worked. So now the bottom line is I'm going to have a file in Daz for this character that will work perfectly in Daz. Then I'll have this geometry edited version that will really not be suitable for working in Daz. But if I need to, if I make a mistake, or if I just, for whatever reason, need to spit a fresh copy of this guy out, I can do that and not have to make those edits over and over and over again. So that's pretty much all there is to the geometry editor. It's just basically you need to be safe. You need to have your backups. You need to be prepared to break a few things. And you can make these sets for bodysuits, for anything. And you can make it work better for you. You're not trapped by what the creator of the certain prop or tool or whatever wanted to do. So that's pretty much all for that. I'm going to get out of here. Let me guys know if you have any questions about this in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.